Hi, I'm delighted to be joined by Liz and Eloise, and we're going to talk all things people, tax and ESG. So first, over to you, Eloise. How can an organisation get its entire workforce aligned to its ESG strategy?
Yeah, well, I think we're probably all agreed that a successful ESG strategy needs to be comprehensive, it needs to be well communicated, and it needs to have buy-in from the top. And part of that success and having that buy-in is how it aligns to your workforce. And we're really seeing that in three areas, really three pillars of that. And the first one is introducing measures which support your ESG strategy, which impact all of your employees or nudge their behaviour in line with your strategy. The second pillar is then the governance and reporting around that and the metrics that you use to measure that. And then thirdly, it's linking executive rewards to the performance and the success of those targets. So they're really the three areas where we're seeing the workforce aligned with the ESG strategy.
What can tax leaders do to support this?
Yes, exactly. And we hear a lot, don't we, Liz, that these types of projects will be led typically from outside tax, whether that's HR or the business or risk. And therefore, what role does tax play? And I think it helps and gives a bit of colour if a few examples of what our clients are working and coming to us with at the moment. So there's decarbonisation of employee travel as one, pay governance, philanthropy via payroll giving, or broader kind of benefits reviews to align with green benefits and give employees access to benefits they maybe couldn't on their own. All of those examples either have an underlying tax compliance obligation which is critical to their success, or they rely on data which tax hold or collect already for other reporting obligations. So all of a sudden it becomes clear why tax need to have a role in the successful implementation of those types of projects.
And thinking about engagement with ESG, what can be done, Liz, to drive engagement at the highest level, at the board?
At board level, it's recognising this isn't the responsibility of just the appointed sustainability lead or a single member of the executive leadership team. This is collective, and we need to hold everyone accountable for that. It's moved from having the narrative, the strategy, the targets and the goals, to the execution of that strategy and what is being achieved. And very much looking in that context at pay for performance and those long-term incentives for the executive team that Eloise mentioned. And to date, bringing ESG metrics into variable pay has not really had much traction. A little bit in health and safety for certain key industries where that's been a mandatory aspect, but it's gone into it's too difficult, too hard to do, we've parked it. That excuse doesn't wash anymore. We've now got financial disclosure on climate impact, which is mandatory, trickling down from premium listed, we're now in AIM listed and larger businesses. In due course, it will come down the spectrum to smaller businesses as well. And that's requiring harvest of data. And those data points can now be built in to these variable pay programs. So that will align that pay for performance. Is that just a bigger stick we're going to beat everyone with? That's not going to be very incentivizing if that's how it's viewed. No, we've now also got information that access to capital, growth, better metrics on deals are being achieved where businesses have executed good ESG strategy. And it's that executed, not just telling the story. So there is an incentive, there's additional value add that will flow through that reward delivery.
And what role could ESG play in attracting and retaining talent in the workforce?
Well, that's pivotal, isn't it? We have a war for talent. Employees have more clout now in choice of employer. And when making that choice and selection, they're not just looking, even in a cost of living crisis, at base pay. They are looking at the purpose of the organisation, the ethics of the organisation. They are scrutineering pay gap in that governance. Those are published figures now, and making judgment on that about where they will place their talent. And it's not just the window dressing for incoming hires, it's recognising that being magnetic for your existing population is key, and refreshing offers of employee benefits, for example, not just rolling forward because it's comfortable, we know the reporting and it's a cycle we can easily manage, but refreshing so that it does get take up, and take up often drives savings, particularly in the context of salary sacrifice for electrified fleets or impact invested pensions, for example. Those are areas where tax savings could potentially be redeployed as working capital in the business for other strategic project goals.
And finally, tax leaders super busy, perhaps an area where they may be less comfortable. What should they have at the top of their to-do list, Eloise?
So the key point, and it's echoing what we said earlier, is collaboration with HR and across the business. So really making sure that the value that tax adds to the successful implementation of these projects is clear. And that's for tax, really knowing what the projects are, where they are in the development, what the risk registers are, what the aims are, so that tax can clearly state their purpose and clearly make sure that those compliance aspects are managed and that tax can enhance the projects. Nobody wants hiccups further down the line. Your ESG objectives won't be achieved if your policies aren't successful because there was an issue or a wrinkle around some aspects of the tax side of it. So collaboration is up there for me.
Thank you. Thank you both for joining and sharing your insights and perspectives on all things people related in tax. Takeaway for me, importance of early engagement by tax with the business and collaboration to drive successful outcomes. Thank you both.